The United States government has crossed a line that every American should be afraid of. On October 23, 2025, the national debt surpassed $38 trillion for the first time in human history. This is not a typo. $38 trillion. To understand this, think of it like this. This number is twice the total economic output of the European Union, more than 20 times the United Kingdom's annual budget, and represents a burden of approximately $500,000 for every American under the age of 18. But here's what should really keep you awake at night. They are not planning to pay this debt back. Not by cutting spending, not by raising taxes, and not through economic growth. Instead, they will use a completely different and far more dangerous method. They will eliminate this debt through a financial mechanism that most people believe is separate from government policy. And when they do this, every dollar you have saved, every bond you own, everything you rely on will lose significant value, while the government's debt will seemingly disappear. This is not just a theory. This is documented policy. The mechanisms are already in motion, the precedents exist, and the process is accelerating faster than anyone wants to admit. In this video, I will show you exactly how the United States plans to eliminate $38 trillion in debt without paying back a single penny. This will be one of the largest wealth transfers in history. Now let me give you a number that will blow your mind. According to the Congressional Budget Office, the federal government has been adding $69,713 in debt every second over the past year. Yes, every second. While you were peacefully sleeping last night, the debt increased by $6 million. Even since you started watching this video, hundreds of thousands of dollars have already been added. This is not a slow decline. This is something mathematically unbelievable. The debt reached $37 trillion in August 2025. Just 2 months later, it hit $38 trillion. That's $1 trillion in 60 days. This is the fastest debt growth in American history outside of the pandemic. And here's the craziest part. The debt is expected to surpass $40 trillion by 2027. But the real crisis is hidden in the budget, beyond just the numbers. Interest payments have become the fastest growing part of government spending. In 2025, the United States paid $1 trillion just in interest. Not the total debt, just the interest. This means 1 out of every $5 collected in taxes does absolutely nothing. No roads, no schools, no health care, no defense, just debt interest. It's like only paying the minimum on a credit card that keeps growing. As interest rates rise, the situation gets even worse. The current average interest rate is 3.38%. 5 years ago, it was 1.58%. Every 1% increase adds $380 billion in annual costs for the government. And here's the trap. The government borrows money to pay interest. As debt increases, interest increases. As interest increases, more borrowing is needed. This is called a debt spiral. But the government has a nuclear option. It's called debt monetization, paying by printing money. How does it work? Instead of borrowing from investors, the government sells its debt to the central bank. The central bank creates new money and buys that debt. So the government is essentially paying its debt with money it creates itself. This doesn't technically eliminate the debt, but it eliminates its effect. This system has already been used. During the 2008 crisis and the COVID period, the central bank purchased trillions of dollars in bonds. This was called quantitative easing, but in reality it was also printing money. Modern monetary theory, MMT, claims a government that prints its own currency can never go bankrupt. This means the U.S. can theoretically grow its debt forever, because it can always print money to pay it. But there is a cost, inflation. The debt doesn't disappear. It is transferred to the public. More money equals less valuable money. So while the government escapes the debt, the people become poorer. This is one of the most sophisticated wealth transfers in history, and this process has already begun. The Federal Reserve has announced a plan to purchase $40 billion in bonds monthly. This will increase over time, $80 billion, $120 billion. Eventually, the central bank will buy most of the new debt. But there is another plan as well. Asset revaluation. The government strengthens its balance sheet by increasing the value of its assets. Examples: gold, Bitcoin. The U.S. currently values its gold at a very low price on its books, But if that price is increased, it could create trillions on paper. This method was used in 1934. Gold prices were increased overnight, and the government's balance sheet expanded. The same thing could happen again today. The international effects are even bigger. Other countries are losing trust in U.S. bonds. China, Russia, and others are moving away. They are buying gold. They are building their own financial systems. What happens if this accelerates? Demand for the dollar drops. Dollars held overseas return to the United States. The money supply explodes. And this multiplies inflation. The government knows this. That's why it wants to implement this plan while the dollar is still strong. The result, within the next few years, the biggest financial repricing in history will occur. The debt will disappear on paper, but the public will pay the price. The biggest question is, will you realize it while it's happening? Or will you wake up one day and see that your money has lost half its value?